The Zero's machine gun fire walked across my Avenger's starboard wing like deadly typewriter keys punching through aluminum. I could feel the TBM-1C shuddering as 70.7mm rounds chewed into the fuel tank behind my seat. Smoke poured into the cockpit, acrid and choking, while the engine coughed and missed. Below me, the rocky volcanic slopes of Chichi Jima arose like the teeth of some prehistoric monster, waiting to devour what remained of my aircraft and crew. It was 0800 hours on September 2nd, 1944, and I wasn't supposed to be here. 3 hours earlier, I had been sitting in the ready room aboard the USS San Jacinto, sipping lukewarm coffee from a dented aluminum cup and studying target photographs off Chichi Jima with my squadron mates from Torpedo Squadron 51. The island, barely 8 miles long and 2 miles wide, sat like a fortress in the Ogasawara chain, 150 miles north of Iwo Jima. Our intelligence officers had briefed us on the target, a Japanese radio station perched high on the island's central ridge, one of several installations that had been coordinating enemy fighter intercepts against our B-29 raids on the Japanese mainland. "Gentlemen," Lieutenant Commander Don Melvin had said, pointing to the aerial reconnaissance photos pinned to the bulkhead. "This radio facility has been vectoring Zeros and Kawasaki fighters against our superfortresses for the past 6 weeks. Admiral Mitchell wants it eliminated before we move on Iwo Jima and Okinawa." The photos showed a cluster of concrete buildings and radio towers on Mount Yoke, the island's 1,000-foot peak. Intelligence estimated maybe 200 Japanese defenders, mostly communication specialists, and a small garrison. What they didn't tell us was that Major Yoshitaka Hori had been reinforcing Chichi Jima for months, turning it into one of the most heavily defended positions in the Pacific. I had volunteered for the mission. At 20 years old, I was one of the youngest pilots in VT-51, but I had already flown 58 combat missions since joining the squadron in May. The Avenger felt like an extension of my own body by then. All 10,000 pounds of her, from the massive Wright R-2600 Cyclone engine to the cavernous bomb bay that could carry a 2,000-pound torpedo or an equal weight in conventional ordnance. My crew for the mission consisted of Radioman Second Class John Delaney and Ordnanceman Second Class Ed White, both experienced sailors who had been with the squadron since its formation. Delaney, a wiry Irish kid from Boston, was our communications specialist and tail gunner, manning the .50 caliber machine gun in the Avenger's rear turret. White, built like a prize fighter and hailing from rural Georgia, operated the bomb bay doors and served as our bombardier. We had flown together on dozens of missions, from the Marianas to Luzon, and I trusted them both with my life. The morning of September 2nd dawned clear and hot, with visibility unlimited and winds light from the northeast. Perfect flying weather, which meant perfect conditions for Japanese fighters to intercept us. The San Jacinto had launched our strike group at 0730, just as the sun was burning off the morning haze. 4 TBM-1C Avengers from VT-51, escorted by 8 F6F to 5 Hellcats from VF-51, all heading northwest toward the Bonans at 180 knots indicated airspeed. Flying at 12,000 feet, we could see Chichi Jima's distinctive volcanic silhouette from 40 miles away. The island rose dramatically from the Cobalt Pacific, its steep cliffs and razor-sharp ridges looking more like the mountains of California than any tropical paradise. As we approached, I could make out the white surf breaking against black volcanic rock and the dark green jungle that covered the island's lower slopes. Bandits, 2 o'clock high. The call came from Lieutenant Doug West, leading our Hellcat escort. I craned my neck to starboard and spotted them, 6 Mitsubishi A6M Zeros in a loose formation, diving out of the sun at about 15,000 feet. They had probably scrambled from Hajima or one of the other islands in the chain. The Zeros hit us fast and hard. These weren't the tired, inexperienced pilots we had been encountering over the Philippines. These men knew how to fly, and their aircraft were in excellent condition. The lead Zero rolled into a diving attack on my section. Its twin 20mm cannon and dual 70.7mm machine guns chattering as tracers streaked past my canopy. I pushed the stick forward and dove toward the target, trying to use the Avenger's superior diving speed to escape. Behind me, I could hear Delaney's twin 50 caliber guns hammering away at our pursuers, the sound echoing through the aircraft's aluminum frame like a riveting gun. Shell casings clattered across the deck as he poured fire at the Japanese fighters. "Stay with me, boys," I shouted into the intercom. "We're going in on the deck." At 8,000 feet, I leveled off and began our attack run on the radio station. The concrete buildings were clearly visible now, along with several tall antenna towers and what looked like a radar installation. Anti-aircraft fire began bursting around us. First the heavy stuff, 88mm shells that bloomed into black flowers of shrapnel, then the lighter 25mm and 40mm guns that threw up streams of colored tracers. I armed our 4 500-pound general-purpose bombs and settled into the bombing run, holding the Avenger steady despite the buffeting from exploding shells. At 4,000 feet, I could see Japanese soldiers running between the buildings, some manning the anti-aircraft guns that were throwing up such a fierce barrage. "Bomb bay doors open," White called over the intercom. It felt the aircraft shudder slightly as the doors swung wide, creating additional drag. The radio station filled my bomb sight, growing larger with each passing second. Bombs away. I pressed the release button and felt the Avenger leap upward as 2,000 pounds of high explosive dropped toward the target. I immediately pulled into a climbing left turn, trying to get away from the intense anti-aircraft fire, when the Zero found me again. This time, the Japanese pilot didn't miss. His cannon shells punched through the Avenger's engine cowling and wing root, while his machine guns stitched a line of holes across the fuselage. I felt something warm and wet running down my forehead, blood from a shell fragment that had creased my scalp, and realized that smoke was pouring from the engine compartment. The Wright Cyclone began running rough, missing badly as cylinders lost compression. Oil pressure dropped to 0 within seconds, and the cylinder head temperature needle swung into the red. The propeller was windmilling now, creating enormous drag that slowed our airspeed to barely 90 knots. "We're hit bad," I called to my crew. "Stand by to bail out." Behind me, I could hear Delaney still firing at the Zero, which had pulled alongside for another attack. His 50 caliber rounds sparked off the Japanese fighter's wing and engine cowling, but the Zero kept coming. The pilot was close enough now that I could see his face behind the canopy, young, determined, probably not much older than myself. At 2,000 feet and losing altitude rapidly, I had to make the hardest decision of my military career. The Avenger was finished. Even if I could nurse her back toward the fleet, we would never make it the 150 miles to the San Jacinto. The engine was seizing up, black smoke pouring from the cowling, and I could smell the acrid stench of burning oil and melting aluminum. "Bail out! Bail out!" I shouted into the intercom. "Go! Go! Go!" There was no response from the crew compartment. Whether they couldn't hear me over the noise of the failing engine and the wind whistling through the bullet holes, or whether they were already wounded, I never knew. What I did know was that we were down to 1,000 feet and running out of time. I pushed the stick forward to maintain flying speed and headed for the open ocean north of the island, hoping to give my crew the best chance of survival in the water rather than crashing into Chichi Jima's volcanic rocks. At 500 feet, I pulled back the canopy, unbuckled my harness, and prepared to go over the side. The slipstream hit me like a physical blow as I struggled out of the cockpit. The Avenger was in a shallow dive, her nose pointing toward the whitecaps that seemed to be rushing up to meet us. I hesitated for just a moment. Jumping from a diving aircraft at 300 feet was not something they had taught us in flight training, then rolled over the port wing root and pulled my ripcord. The parachute opened with a bone-jarring shock that knocked the wind out of me. Below, I watched my Avenger hit the water in a tremendous geyser of spray and foam. The aircraft disappeared beneath the waves almost immediately, taking whatever remained of Delaney and White with her. I hit the water hard, the ocean rushing up to slap me across the face and chest. The parachute canopy settled over me like a shroud, and for several terrifying seconds I thought I was going to drown before I could even get out of my harness. The water was surprisingly cold, probably no more than 75 degrees despite the tropical latitude, and I could taste salt and aviation gasoline as I fought to get clear of the chute lines. When I finally surfaced, gasping and spitting seawater, I found myself perhaps 2 miles north of Chichi Jima's coast. The volcanic cliffs rose like a black wall from the ocean, topped by the green jungle where I knew Japanese soldiers were probably already watching me through binoculars. To the south, I could see the smoke from our bombing attack rising above Mount Yoke, and the occasional flash of anti-aircraft fire as the rest of my squadron pressed home their attack. My Mae Westlife jacket was keeping me afloat, but I knew I couldn't last long in the open ocean without some kind of shelter. Pacific swells were running 4 to 5 feet, and every few minutes a wave would break over my head, leaving me choking on seawater and fighting to stay conscious. Then I remembered my survival equipment. Every Navy pilot carried a one-man life raft as part of his gear, and I had managed to grab mine during the bailout. The CO2 cartridge inflated the yellow rubber raft with a loud hiss, and I pulled myself aboard, shivering and exhausted. For the first time since being hit by the Zero, I had a chance to take stock of my situation. I was alive, which was more than I could say for Delaney and White. I had a life raft, a small supply of emergency water and rations, and a signal mirror and flare gun. On the negative side, I was floating in enemy waters less than 5 miles from a heavily defended Japanese base, with no immediate prospect of rescue. The cut on my forehead had stopped bleeding, but my flight suit was torn in several places, and I had what felt like a badly bruised shoulder from the parachute opening. More importantly, I could see Japanese patrol boats putting out from Chichi Jima's small harbor, their wakes cutting white lines across the blue water as they searched for survivors from our attack. I spent the rest of that first day trying to stay as far from the island as possible, paddling with my hands whenever the current seemed to be carrying me closer to shore. The Japanese boats searched for several hours, coming within a few hundred yards of my position, but somehow they never spotted the tiny yellow raft bobbing in the swells. As evening approached, I realized that my biggest challenge wouldn't be avoiding capture, it would be staying alive long enough for rescue. The emergency rations in my survival kit consisted of a few pieces of chocolate, some malted milk tablets, and a small can of water. At best, I had maybe 3 days' worth of supplies, and that was if I rationed them carefully. The sun set behind Chichi Jima in a blaze of orange and red, and the temperature dropped noticeably. Without the sun's warmth, the ocean breeze cut through my wet flight suit like a knife. I huddled in the bottom of the life raft, trying to conserve body heat and wondering if anyone knew I was still alive. Unknown to me, Lieutenant Doug West had seen my parachute open and had radioed my position back to the San Jacinto. Captain Harold Martin, the ship's commanding officer, had immediately ordered the submarine USS Finback to search for survivors in the Chichi Jima area. But the Finback was operating more than 100 miles to the southeast, and it would take her at least 2 days to reach my position. I spent that first night alternately dozing and watching the horizon for signs of rescue or Japanese patrol boats. The stars were incredibly bright, clearer than I had ever seen them, stretching from horizon to horizon in a canopy of silver light. Despite my desperate situation, I couldn't help but be awed by the beauty of it all, the phosphorescent wake of the raft as it rode the swells, the way the starlight reflected off the water, the profound silence broken only by the whisper of wind and waves. Dawn brought new challenges. The sun rose like a ball of fire, quickly heating the rubber raft until it was almost too hot to touch. By mid-morning, I was suffering from both dehydration and sunburn. My lips cracked and my skin blistered despite the protection of my flight suit. I had been drifting northwest during the night, carried by a current that was taking me away from Chichi Jima, but also away from any likely rescue route. Through my binoculars, part of my survival gear, I could see several other islands in the distance, probably Hajima and Mukojima, all of them controlled by the Japanese. On the second day, I spotted aircraft in the distance, twin-engine Betty bombers heading south, probably from bases in the Japanese home islands. They were too far away to signal, and even if they had seen me, they would have been more likely to strafe my raft than rescue me. By the evening of September 3rd, I was beginning to feel the effects of dehydration. My water supply was nearly exhausted, and I had been forced to start rationing it to just a few sips every few hours. The emergency rations were gone, and my stomach cramped with hunger. Worse, my skin was beginning to burn and peel from constant exposure to sun and salt water. That night, I thought seriously about dying. Not suicide. I wasn't ready to give up, but about what it would mean if rescue didn't come. I thought about my parents back in Connecticut, about my fiancée Barbara Pierce, about all the things I still wanted to do with my life. I was only 20 years old, barely old enough to vote, and I had already seen more combat than most men would see in a lifetime. But I also thought about Delaney and White, trapped in the sinking Avenger somewhere beneath me. They had been good men, experienced sailors who had families and dreams of their own. If they could die in the service of their country, the least I could do was try to survive to tell their story. Dawn on September 4th brought a miracle. I was awakened by the sound of diesel engines and looked up to see the periscope of an American submarine cutting through the water less than 200 yards away. A few minutes later, the USS Finback surfaced in a welter of foam and spray, her gray hull glistening in the morning sun. "Ahoy there," came a voice from the conning tower. "You Bush?" I was so relieved I could barely speak. "Yes, sir." "Lieutenant Bush, VT-51. Within minutes, sailors from the Finback had pulled me aboard, wrapping me in blankets and pouring hot coffee down my throat. Captain Robert Williams, the submarine's commanding officer, met me on the deck with a grin and a firm handshake. "Glad to have you aboard. Son," he said, "your squadron's been raising hell trying to find you." The Finback's pharmacist's mate treated my sunburn and dehydration, while the cook prepared a meal of soup and crackers, about all my shrunken stomach could handle after 3 days without food. As I sat in the wardroom, clean and dry for the first time in 3 days, Captain Williams briefed me on the tactical situation. "We're part of a wolf pack operating against Japanese shipping lanes between the home islands and their bases in the cargo lines," he explained. "Your strike on Chichi Jima was pretty effective, by the way. Our radio intercepts indicate you knocked out their main communication center." Over the following weeks, I learned what had happened to the other American airmen who had been shot down over Chichi Jima during the September raids. 8 other flyers had been captured by the Japanese garrison, and all of them had been executed in violation of international law. Some had been beheaded, others bayoneted, and at least one had been subjected to medical experiments by Japanese military doctors. The knowledge that I had come within a few miles of sharing their fate haunted me for years afterward. The only difference between their fate and mine had been the direction of the wind and current that carried my life raft away from the island instead of toward it. The Finback remained on patrol for another 4 weeks, during which time I served as an additional lookout and helped with various shipboard duties. It was fascinating to see submarine warfare from the inside, the patient stalking of targets, the sudden violence of torpedo attacks, the tense hours spent submerged while Japanese destroyers dropped depth charges overhead. On October 2nd, exactly 1 month after being shot down, I was transferred to the submarine tender USS Proteus at Midway Atoll. From there, I caught a transport flight back to Pearl Harbor, then another to the West Coast, and finally home to Connecticut for a brief lead before rejoining VT-51 for the invasion of the Philippines. The 42 days from my shoot-down to my return to the United States changed me in ways that are difficult to describe. I had always been confident, perhaps even cocky, about my abilities as a pilot and my chances of surviving the war. The experience of floating helplessly in a life raft, completely dependent on the skill and courage of other men for my survival, gave me a profound appreciation for the fragility of life and the bonds that tie us together in times of crisis. I also came to understand something about the nature of sacrifice that no amount of training or briefing could have taught me. Delaney and White died serving their country, not in some grand gesture of heroism, but simply by doing their jobs to the best of their ability. They were professional sailors who happened to be in the wrong place when a Japanese fighter pilot got lucky. Their deaths were not meaningless, but they were not the stuff of Hollywood movies either. They were part of the vast, grinding machinery of war that ultimately ground down the Japanese empire at a cost that can never be fully calculated. The radio station we had attacked on Chichi Jima was indeed destroyed, and intelligence reports later confirmed that its elimination significantly reduced the effectiveness of Japanese fighter intercepts against B-29 raids. Whether that was worth the lives of 3 American airmen is a question I have never been able to answer satisfactorily. What I can say is that the experience taught me lessons about leadership, responsibility, and the weight of command that would serve me well in later years. When you have been personally responsible for the lives of other men, when you have had to make split-second decisions that determine who lives and who dies, it changes your perspective on what really matters in life. The Battle of Chichi Jima, if it can be called a battle, was one of thousands of small actions that collectively won the Pacific War. The island never fell to American assault. It was still in Japanese hands when Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's surrender in August 1945. But by then, it no longer mattered. American control of the sea and air around the Bonans had rendered the island irrelevant, a fortress without purpose, defended by men who would never again threaten American bombers heading for Tokyo. When I returned to VT-51 in November 1944, I found that the squadron had been moved to a new carrier, the USS San Jacinto having been damaged in a typhoon off the Philippines. My new aircraft was another TBM-1C Avenger, identical to the one I had lost over Chichi Jima, except for the tail number painted on her fuselage. I flew her on 37 more combat missions before the war ended, attacking targets from Luzon to Kyushu, but I never forgot the crew that had died with my first Avenger. Today, more than 8 decades after the war ended, John Delaney and Ted White are still listed as missing in action, their bodies never recovered from the waters off Chichi Jima. I think about them often, especially on quiet mornings when the sun rises over the ocean and reminds me of that September dawn when I found myself alone in a life raft, grateful to be alive and humbled by the sacrifice of better men than myself. The Pacific War produced many heroes, most of whom never lived to see their medals or read their citations. It also produced many survivors, men and women who simply endured what had to be endured and went on with their lives when the shooting stopped. I have always considered myself fortunate to be among the latter, blessed with the opportunity to serve my country and grateful for the chance to honor the memory of those who served beside me. In the end, that may be the most important lesson of Chichi Jima, that in war, as in life, survival is often a matter of luck as much as skill, and that those of us who are fortunate enough to come home carry with us the responsibility to remember those who did not. The price of victory is always higher than we want to pay, but some things, freedom, justice, the right to live without fear, are worth that price. The young pilot who floated in a life raft off Chichi Jima in September 1944 could never have imagined the life that lay ahead of him. But he learned something in those 3 days that would guide him through all the years to come. That individual courage and sacrifice, multiplied by millions of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, can indeed change the world. The radio towers on Mount Yoke fell silent on September 2, 1944. In the vast calculation of war, that silence was worth the price we paid for it. But the cost, 3 young American lives lost in the service of their country, will never be forgotten by those of us who survived to tell their story.